listening for AP's feedback on the world. We like to call it Crown Inclinations. Now, if you know me, you're probably halfway expecting what's about to happen, but if you don't, welcome to the show. So, I've done some cool shit, health-wise, and I've lived a lot of shit, life-wise, so I'm going to share that with you. All thoughts are mine. So, today's topics of discussion are voting. We just came out of voting season. Apparently in Florida, we're still in voting season. They're going to jail and they're still counting ballots. Imagine that in 2018, huh? And then we're going to talk about Thanksgiving because 'tis the season. And I said that right because at Walmart, it's Christmas time too. So I'm going to rush along as well. I'm ready for 2019. I'm going to jump right into it. Voting. The last time I voted was for Obama. Absolutely. You want to know why I voted for Obama? Because he was a black man. I wanted my grandparents to see that. Thank God I got all four of my grandparents. Shout out to those grandparents. So yeah, I voted for Obama because he was a black man, and Tupac said we weren't ready for it. I really don't think that we were, but I think he excelled as an individual. I was a little disappointed because he did like any elected official would do, and he protected what the government has established for us to abide by. So that leads me into the notion that what are we voting for? And why do we keep bringing our ancestors into it? Because our ancestors died for a lot of things. You'll never hear me tell someone that decided not to go to college, well, your ancestors died because they couldn't read, right? Did you guys forget about the ancestors that were beat, whipped, and killed because they knew how to read? I feel like whenever you say that during voting time, that's what you forget about. The ancestors that died because they could read, the ancestors that died because they didn't want to convert to Christianity, the ancestors that died for looking at white women, and the list could go on and on and on. But what's disheartening is to see my peers and people that I love support Kaepernick in a way, but then be happy to put a flag on their chest to say that they voted and that their ancestors died for them to vote, as if that's the only thing our ancestors came over here to die for. So the bigger question is, what's the problem with actually doing the footwork like other communities? I shared something on my social media platform the other day that said the Asians don't vote, the Arabs don't vote, and their community's intact. So the difference with blacks in those cultures is that black people like to take the easy way out. And I know we've been through a lot. So I'm tired most of the time just because of the burden that's on my DNA structure, right? But let's think about it. Why don't we want to put the work in? A lot of people have asked me, especially new people that I meet, when I say that I don't vote proudly, I might add, well, if you don't vote, you can't say anything. And then they ask me, what are you doing? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I've always wanted a program in my community since I was a young girl that actually did something for the community. Now, I don't have it at full form, but I did actually get that up and running this year thanks to the help of several individuals, and I appreciate you all. You know who you are. But there were a lot of people that kind of chimed in like, hey, I'm going to bring this, or I'll see you out there. And they didn't show up. So there's a lot of things that black people say, but they don't really do. So when it comes down to what we're doing for our community, I think that's what counts. And there's not a lot of people that are willing to step up and put in the work to make our communities be what they could be. A lot of them are trying to get away from the hood, right? Like we try to get the money, get out of the hood, and then never look back. Well, I personally don't want to be that person that never looks back. I don't really want to move back to the hood, but I definitely want to invest in the hood. I think that it's unfortunate that a lot of us choose to kind of play the back role. I'm going to say I did this, or I'm going to say I did that, but then I'm not really going to show up to roll up my sleeves and do the work. So there's things that can be done in our community as far as community building, nurturing the family structure, things like that. All of these are more important than actually going out to vote because these officials don't care about you. And that's been proven time and time again because our hoods never change. Our communities never look any different than what they did 10, even 20 years ago. So whoever you're voting for isn't doing their job. And when are you going to get upset about that instead of questioning me as to what I'm doing and why I don't vote? So my ancestors died for a lot of things, and I'm going to take all of that into account. It's not just for voting. Not to say that I have no respect for what the people did. I remember the Pettus Bridge, I remember all of that happening. But at the same time, did that really work out for us? I bet you a lot of you don't know that Martin Luther King's biggest regret before they killed him And when I say they, I mean the government, the same people that you're going to slap that sticker on to say that you voted, those people, that entity. He said the worst thing that he could have ever been a part of was the integration of the blacks into white America. Some of y'all are going to try to say, oh, she's racist. That's a lie. I got 5 white friends. What's wrong with you? Anyways, you gotta do for self. And you have to stop being lazy with it. Black people, my brothers, my cousins, my sisters, we have to pull together, and we have to be like the Asians and the Arabs. They have their own communities. They are not worried about what's going on in America, but the money that can be made. Why aren't y'all learning that? It's not worth it to be in the VIP section. Half the people that you're in the VIP section with don't even really like you. But there's going to be some people out there that are willing to community build with you. And I feel like I found a couple of those people, and I'm thankful for them. And those are the warriors I want on my side, because I truly think that we can change our communities if we want to do the work. But the work has to be done. And as black people, I feel like we kind of shy away from the work that can be done. So again, you can send thoughts and prayers, or you can get up and you can go give the family that's mourning a freaking gift basket. Make the decision. Voting's not the way. Reagan showed up in the Bronx. I think it was the Bronx, New York, in the 80s, whenever he got elected in. I'm not a historian. I just know a couple of facts, right? So Reagan shows up in the Bronx. He leaves the Bronx. Everybody's waiting around like, oh, what is Reagan going to do for us? You know what he did for him? He dropped down crack in the hood. So then you got your aunties out there strung out on this new drug, and then you got white cops running in killing everybody. Everybody. And the assault on the black body hasn't stopped yet. Who are you going to vote for that's going to keep Trayvon Martin from happening again? Isn't George Zimmerman still running around? Who are you going to vote for that'll help that? What are you going to do that can alleviate that type of pressure, right? I remember when the Botham Jean case happened here in Dallas, I just prayed, like in my heart, I was like, man, I really hope his family has enough money to sue the britches off the whole state if they could. And I actually caught wind of a video where the new DA said that he would label the female police officer for murder charge if that's what the facts added up to. But we know that that's where it's pointing. Your doormat wasn't red. You were at the wrong place. So bottom line, something was going on. We don't know the backstory, but the family has sued the Dallas Police Department as well as the training division for the Dallas officers, because what they're saying is it's reckless that cops are even out here being able to act in such a fashion. And if you think about it, even here recently in Chicago, security personnel actually risked his life, chased down an active shooter, pinned him to the ground, and when the cops came, guess who got killed that night? The black hero. There's not a damn person in this world that you could vote in, black or otherwise, that can help the situation that black America is in right now. So you can keep feeling as if you going to check a box is making this big difference. I beg to differ. I don't really want to argue with you. I'm going to go tell you to look at the facts. Your community's the same. It's not crack. It's some other drug, right? But your even nephews that aren't even of age are getting hassled because they walk around the community in hoodies, at the mall in a hoodie. Now, if you want to talk to me about something, you tell me 5 to 10 people that you could vote for that would change the condition of black America. No, nobody. No elected official can do that. What's going to change the condition of black America? The condition of black America. And I mean that as far as mentality. We have to start focusing in on the things that matter. Every other country or every other culture in this world knows how to do for self, knows how to band together. I'm still begging people that I love to even get on board with the things that I'm doing that actually make sense, right? So that's where you find the platform and you start saying what it is. That's actually the truth. Nobody wants the truth these days. Everyone wants a slimmed down version of whatever makes them feel good. And that's why we run and we stand in line for hours to get time away from the job that we hate so that we can put a sticker on, post it on social media like we just saved the world. You did no work. You're not going to get it back. You're not doing Thanksgiving. So usually I check black on my applications and other situations where they're really nosy about where I'm from, who I am, and all of those great things. So it's funny because they have this box for other. So sometimes if I'm feeling petty, I'll just check other. Long story short, I have some native blood in me, like most black people do, right? That's the running jokes. All the black people are Native American. Actually, that's true because we roamed all the lands before anybody else did. And amazingly, we didn't rape and pillar anything. So imagine that. Anyhow, my biggest question whenever I first stopped celebrating Thanksgiving, which was about 7 years ago now, to check out that commitment, it pissed my family off a lot when I first started out, because at first they thought it was a joke, right? So there's, like I talked about in the first segment, there's a lot of people that say one thing but they do another. I'm probably one of the 5 people that you know that'll say something, and if I said it, I meant it. I meant it. So if I tell you I'm going to do something, just wait on it. So I stopped celebrating Thanksgiving 7 years ago because it seemed odd to me to say, well, I'm Native American and all of those things, and still participate in pretty much something that was a reminder of the genocide that happened in the Native American community. So my biggest question was, well, what came first, the slaughter or the feast? The feast or the slaughter? Because either way, if you put yourself in that situation, if somebody came into your house and killed everybody that you knew and left you, how soon would it be before you went and broke bread with those people? Right? Okay. And then on the flip side, how would you feel if somebody invited you into their home, and you invited someone into your home, you fed them and gave them everything that you had in your bounty, and then they turn around and they kill everybody you know and then take over your house? That's essentially what happened between the Europeans and the Native Americans. So from my research, I have that Trail of Tears between 1831 and 1850 is when this happened. About 4,000 some odd Native Americans were killed. But the first Thanksgiving was years before that, like in the 1600s. So at what point do you ask, what are we celebrating, right? A lot of people want to do things because that's what everyone else is doing, but they don't look at the spiritual ties into it, the ritualistic things that are happening behind this. So as a Native American or Indian or Black, you should be ashamed of yourself if you're celebrating something like this, that you're actually glorifying the fact that these people that were foreigners came in, learned the ways of the land, built a government around these people that had no thought into a structure other than live from the land and be good to the land so that the land can give back to you, right? This is a spiritual thing. It has nothing to do with the vanity of who owns what acre and who can be on this side of the fence. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about community building. Hold on, didn't I talk about that in the voting section? Okay, y'all keep walking with me though. So they build up this camaraderie where they're able to talk with each other and figure out what the Indians have going on. And then they draw up these fancy ass documents and tell them, oh yeah, by the way, now that we've learned everything, y'all need to move around. And then they send them to Oklahoma. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. It's not really a fun place to be. There's a couple of points on I-35 where you can take an exit on the Lookouts. Now that's glorious, especially at sunset. I stop there every chance I get. Other than that, Oklahoma's pretty dry. And back then, it was known to be a land that was hard to cultivate, right? So the Europeans came in and decided that's where the Indians need to go. And this was not an agreement to do such, right? This is a good portion of Georgia and the North Carolinas where these natives lived. And so the Europeans came in and in a roundabout way lied to them about the glories that would be waiting for them in Oklahoma and how the government was going to support them and their move, their move to this new land, and it would be so much better. They were going to call it native reserve land, which it still is, by the way. Choctaw owns everything. But it's just like this big hype about what we can do for you and what we're going to give you because you're giving us this land. Freaking robbery, right? Where is that okay? And then we celebrate it. We celebrate something that began as friendship and then ended in the ultimate betrayal, because the Indians were told that they would have support during this move. That didn't happen. They were given blankets for a journey that lasted years, years. And it's not right, but it seems there's a pattern in what's happening with the introduction of Europeans to the rest of the world. I'd like to call spiritual world, because we keep saying this whole civilized thing. But what makes us think that it's civilized to draw up a document where people have to be forcibly removed from the lands that they've known since the beginning of their time? Where was that okay? And now we celebrate it and we reduce it down to the fact that it's about family. No, it's about the fact that that's the only time that your job is going to give you time off to do such things. We don't even have the backbone to say, you know what, maybe we want to have a thankful dinner in the middle of July. Why don't we do that? You don't have any PTO days, or because the system doesn't say that you can do it. And then y'all like to argue with me because I call it for how it is, not how I want it to be, but how it is, right? I used to do the same thing. We'd be excited for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we have time off and everybody's going to come in. But like 9 times out of 10, and the memes confirm it, there's a lot of foolery going on when the family gets together, right? We don't establish guidelines and boundaries, and we don't even know what we're doing. We're just doing what the system told us to do. That goes back into consumerism. You have these dedicated times that you need to shop because it stimulates the economy. But what is the economy returning to you besides credit card bills, more debt, increase in prices? I went and got a pizza last night. Cost me like $10 for a pizza and a couple of rolls. Veggie pizza, by the way, so it's not like they had to give me a portion of meat that would have cost more. It's like $10 and it wasn't even satisfying. So it's like you're charging me more and giving me less, and that's becoming the trend. And we're just like, yeah, we're here for it. It's Thanksgiving. Be thankful. Thankful for what? Lies and deception? And then you participate in this ritual at the same time every year. And then you try to tell me that it's about family. No, it's about the higher ups and the bigger picture, which means money in their pockets, less in yours. And the fact that there are people that use the same breath to say, I'm Native American and I can't wait to eat turkey. Tragic. So tragic. That's where our morals are today. That's where we stand today. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, as long as it makes me feel good. Big ups to you on that. But stop arguing with me when I say the truth. I don't have time for it. I'm going to recognize what it is, and I'm going to act accordingly. And I'm not going to participate in that level of deception, murder. It happened to both sides of me, right? The blacks and the whites. On one end of my DNA structure, they told me like, yeah, we'll walk you through this whole situation and we'll make sure that you get over there and then y'all are going to have all the land that you need. It's just a bunch of lies. And then they keep telling me that blacks sold off blacks, and it's like, yeah, but I've read some books and now I understand that the Arabs were actually doing that. And so that's how the Europeans got hip to the game. So you keep trying to tell me that blacks sold each other out when really it was just a whole bunch of brown people over there getting money the best way they knew how, making trades. I might remind you that the Africans were making trades with the Europeans. The Africans taught the Europeans the importance of bathing. And then all of a sudden we become their slaves. And that's where our story starts here in the American school system. Hey, little black kids, you were slaves, and that's it. Then we wonder why we have the conditions that we do in the neighborhoods that we have. Because remember when I talked about voting, I said Reagan showed up, and then when he left, the only thing that the black community got was crack cocaine. That means we got, people that were strung out on drugs, and then people that were trying to sell drugs because they weren't bringing jobs to the black community. They weren't even updating the housing structures, right? It was just like they literally created a game of cops and robbers, and black people were the robbers regardless, and we're still getting treated that way. Suit and tie Botham Jean, killed in his own home. Shut and closed case. That's an open and closed case, right? There should be no reason, badge or not, why someone should be able to walk in a man's apartment and kill him dead and then say the excuse, well, I thought I was in my own place. The setup at that apartment complex kills that whole statement in the first place. Everyone that lives there said that it's impossible for her to have thought that that was where she lived. But we're going to ride it out, and we're just going to see until all the details come, right? And then the black communities online, like, we're pissed off. But we ain't going to do shit about it because we might break a sweat, and that's too much to ask because slave days is over. Slave days are definitely over, but there's still work to be done. If the community fails, it's the black community's fault. And it's not because I didn't vote or somebody that I know didn't vote, because the votes aren't changing anything. I've given you all the proof that you need today. So if you still want to argue with me, you can put it in the comments section. Maybe I'll respond, maybe I won't. I got to save my energy. I got Raising Anchors, and there's some little kids that I'm trying to inspire, because I remember the day I started learning the truth about what I came from was the day I felt empowered, and I'm not going back. I'm going to share that empowerment with those coming next. Hey, y'all be blessed. I'm going to give you this quote from Nikki Giovanni to end. And then I'm going to hit you with a Wu-Tang song, because everybody knows it's Wu-Tang forever. Nikki Giovanni says, if now isn't a good time for the truth, I don't see when we'll get to it. We got to do the work, people. Y'all enjoy this song. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you later.
Raw, I'ma give it to you with no trivia. Roll like cocaine straight from Bolivia. My hip hop will rock and shock the nation like the Emancipation Proclamation. Weak MCs approach with slang that's dead. Them eyes are running to the wall and bang your head. I'm pushing force, my force you're doubting. I'm making devils cower to the Caucasus Mountain.
Well, I'm Messiah. I set the microphone on fire. Rap styles vary and carry like Mariah. I come from the Shaolin slum in the Al.